Hello and welcome to This Week in Bitcoin, brought to you by Relai Private. I don't want to waste any of your time with this intro. Let's get straight stuck in because we've got some exciting news. News number one are out of El Salvador. Yes, the small country in Central America that made headlines years ago when they announced that Bitcoin is now legal tender. And they just continue to ride that Bitcoin train because this week we've seen that the Bitcoin office has actually released a website which looks very similar to the mempool.space website, where they go into detail about their Bitcoin holdings. You see this really nice staircase which shows that they buy 1 Bitcoin a day. You also see an interesting Twitter newsfeed on there by Nayib Bukele. Like, I don't know what this really has to do with your Bitcoin reserves, but like, you do you, man. And all of these details that you might have about, the Bitcoin office, about mining, about all of the possibilities with Bitcoin in El Salvador. And this is a really cool project to show that all of these countries, once they actually embrace Bitcoin, they can then do these kind of things and be a bit more transparent about their stuff. Obviously, we still need to verify if the amount of Bitcoin being displayed is really held, but something like this is already a much bigger upgrade compared to, for example, an audit by the Fed, which, for check my note, hasn't happened in the last 100 years. Then news number two, I titled it Kenya is bullish on Bitcoin mining in the newsletter, and this couldn't be further from the truth. The Kenyan government actually announced that they want to have 100% renewable mix until 2030, meaning everything runs on renewables. Whether that be functional is a different story, but let's just leave that off the table for now. And currently they're sitting at an already high amount of 80% of their energy mix being renewable. However, they have an issue because they don't actually have enough services or enough businesses taking on such amount of energy. So they're looking for business partners. And which better business partners to actually take stranded energy than a Bitcoin miner? And this must have been the thought that Marathon Digital had when they actually approached the government and went into talks with them to showcase all of the benefits you can have with a renewable Bitcoin mining site. Not only that the energy is clean, that's sort of a thing against the fraudsters out there, but then also on the other end, you start engaging the community around that mining facilities because you need people on site. You will actually also end up with a surplus mostly because you're mining with renewables, which are very cheap. So you can either reinvest this into the mining site or back into the community, and having enough of these mining sites in one country, in this case Kenya, or on a whole continent, in this case Africa, can really put that civilization to the forefront because they can heavily profit not only from Bitcoin, but also from the whole energy market. So it'll be interesting to see how many mining sites will pop up in Kenya. And then it's back to Bitcoin on a balance sheet season because Metap Planet, the Japanese company, the public company I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, has now further announced another purchase. They bought another 20 Bitcoin to extend their treasury to 117 Bitcoin. It might look small at the moment, but they did the number one thing at actually starting and understanding Bitcoin and using it as a treasury asset. But nevertheless, they actually invested the time to do all of that. They also appointed a few people to their Bitcoin consulting board. And the number one reason why they're actually buying Bitcoin is because they see that the yen is miserable in its state right now, that it's failing on all fronts, and that they need something to protect against a failing, rotten currency. And what better way to use than Bitcoin? I'll be interested if we see actually more publicly known companies, or if you just see more companies in general announcing this move. Remember 2021, we had this weird phase. Obviously, MicroStrategy was in there. Tesla came in and out. They then backtracked, quoting if it uses more than 55% of renewable energy, they'll be back in the mining business. And, we do use more than that. So why are you waiting, Tesla? And there have also been some minor companies in Europe that announced it, but sort of backtracked now. And I'm interested if we see this going forward more and more, because inevitably a lot of these fiat currencies have issues. And the more they fail or the more they harm people, the easier the conversion will be to Bitcoin on the balance sheet. We already see this with Relai Business. There's a lot of talk there. And we just need to wait to see what else comes out of it. And with that, we're at the end of this week in Bitcoin. You know the drill. If you got questions, feedback, or just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. And I look forward to seeing you next week again.